Alright, so today we're going to be going over Grand Crusade, specifically the EX bosses. And just so you know, I'm on Area 138, and I have beaten all of the EX fights, so I do know what I'm talking about. The first thing we're going to go over is when do you unlock the fights. So the first fight you unlock after you beat Area 5, second one is after Area 10, third is 20, fourth is 50, and the last fight you unlock after you beat Area 100. And then we're going to go over the different rewards you get. So 1 and 2, I think they give the same rewards. These are very good. These are just materials to craft equips, and then your coins to exchange in the shop. And once you get to EX3, you're going to be getting astral glyphs, which are very useful for crafting equips. They are going to give auto-filling arts gauge effects, so they're very good for the support equips. And then EX4 is when you're going to unlock the whale maws. This will craft a unique 5-star magic. I know it says 6-star magic on the whale maw, but it crafts a 5-star magic, which is really weird. I don't know, whatever. And then once you get to EX5, it's the same stuff. You're just going to get more. So you're going to get 2 to 3 whale maws, 4 to 5 astroglyphs, a ton of coins. If you do this a couple times, you'll be able to buy out the shop completely. So it's really nice, but it is a very difficult fight. And now we're going to go over the mechanics of the fight. So just for time's sake, I'm only going to do EX5 just because the fights get harder and harder, and there's more mechanics the later you get. So this is going to be the hardest the fight will ever be. So to start, he has the normal stuff, reflect resistance and arch gauge down resistance. And then his skill, boost enemy damage taken, has a chance to inflict burn. This is huge. You're going to want to get burned. I'll go over that later. You don't want to cleanse this. Arts, boost evasion rate. Be careful with this because I'm pretty sure, depending on which EX it is, it's going to be higher than 100%. So do not be wasting your nukes when the boss has evasion rate up, or you just won't hit him, and then you're just wasting it. And then the chance to inflict burn, good. Boost crit rate. Be careful of this, it's going to do a lot of damage, the dive attack. And then party's archgauge only increase from regalia and damage taken. This is extremely important. This is basically the entire mechanic of this boss fight. So your arch gauge will increase from damage taken, and your regalia level of, go to regalia level, this bottom one right here, HP regen by 378 and autofills arts gauge by 20 every 7.83 seconds. This is the only way to get arts in this EX fight. So the higher level that is, the easier it's going to be, and the more damage you're taking, the easier it's going to be. That's why you need to make sure you stay burned, and you're going to be healing HP heals, and you're just going to stay burned the whole time. And that's how you're going to keep your arts going. And then hate builds with damage dealt by each enemy, more hate boost, enemy damage taken. So your DPS is going to have a high hate, which is the red bar on the left. And the higher that is, the more damage they're going to take. So you want more DR, higher regalia DR level on your DPS, just so they take less damage. And then reduce water damage, so don't bring a water DPS, that's bad. Flight mode boosts crit res and is cancelled by break. So if you wanted to break this boss, that is definitely a way you could do it. I tried it with Arthur Pencilgon. It didn't work that well. His break bar is really chunky. But do not use Chloe because she is a 70% burn res passive. So she won't be getting burned, and then she just won't have arts and you won't be able to use her. So don't use Chloe for this fight. And then he changes to ground mode. He just does less arts, and it's just easier if you break him. But you don't need to break him. It's really slow if you do. You might not be able to clear it in under 2 minutes and get all the rewards. So I just didn't. I have a different team comp. But we'll go over that right after this. And the arts gauges of all fire units are completely filled when entering break and when recovering from break. This is why breaking is so effective. Because if you're running a fire DPS, you break it, the fire DPS gets 300 arts, you super art, nuke the first half, you defend through the threshold, and then as soon as he recovers from the break, you get another 300 arts, you nuke the second half, and then you just defend for the final threshold. And that's it. That it's a very effective way to beat it. But honestly, his break bar is really high. I would just find a different way. I'm going to go over that in a second. And then these are the thresholds. At 50% HP, uses dive attack and boosts arts gauge fill speed. Dive attack is going to do a lot of damage. You're going to need to make sure you have your barriers ready, make sure you have an extra barrier ready, and make sure you use your defense equips for this dive attack. And then this doesn't happen until the second wave. This is going to happen. And then the third wave and the fourth wave, he's going to get this final one at 0% HP, uses dive attack. And then in the fifth wave, it's going to add this recovers HP and boost our gauge fill speed. So he's going to just regen like 30% health, something like that. And you're just going to have to nuke him one more time. So it's not that bad. If you got to this point in the fight, you should be able to go a little bit further. Yeah, that's it for the mechanics. And now we're going to go over the team comp. So I'm going to go to my area list. Just click on a random one just to show you real quick. This is the team comp I've been using. So first of all, you're going to need a crazy DPS like Delta. And then you're going to want a damage mitigation tank like Shiro, Beta, or Albedo. Those are all the ascended ones. You could probably get away with Sandstone if you don't have anybody else. But then you're probably going to need to be a higher level. And then you're definitely going to want a healer. Because so the whole thing here is when you get burned, you're going to want to be behind the shield so you don't die from the damage he's doing. And you're going to want to heal so then you can keep getting burned and you can keep generating arts. It's just a complete cycle. You just keep healing and burning, healing and burning, healing and burning. And then we have Shadow here for his physical res down and Delta for her fire res down. So the difference with Grand Crusade is if I go to my Regalia levels and I click on Delta, she is going to have 881% damage up. And the way damage calculation works is you want to match your damage up with your res down. So you're going to want, for Grand Crusade to maximize damage, you're going to want more res down because you're already providing damage up passively. So that's how you're going to maximize your damage, by using characters with res downs. Stacking ones are great, like Delta and Shadow. They both have stacking res downs. So that's why Delta is going to be hitting so hard. And then for the siphoning, if you go to Regalia level, you go to Siphon, you're going to want to siphon to your main team, your EX team. You're going to want to siphon. I'm not actually going to siphon because it's already been siphoned. So this is my healer. You want to make sure she has tons of HP. She doesn't need any attack because she's not doing damage. Siphon all of your attack to your DPS. So my Delta has all of the attack stats on this team. And then you're going to want to make sure to spread out the DR. Make sure your DPS has more DR than everybody else, because they're going to be taking more damage because their hate bar is higher because they're dealing more damage. And then your healer doesn't need that much DR because they're not going to be taking any damage because, you know, they don't do any damage. And then break doesn't matter unless you're breaking. You're going to want to make sure you put all of your break power up on your breaker. And then this, make sure this is spread out amongst all of your units because this is very useful in regenning HP and getting arts gauge. But yeah, that's pretty much it for that part. Make sure all of your units, make sure you spread out your health, your DR, and your arts, and then your breaker has your break and your DPS has your damage. So for selecting support units, you're just going to want whatever you're missing. If you're missing DR, pick up a Shiro. There's always going to be one on here. He's a very good unit. Or a Beta. And then if you're missing a sub DPS or a DPS, try to find somebody with stacking DR like Shadow. Be careful with their equips. And then if you need a really good healer, just pick up a good healer like Shuna, Samurai Demon Lord Rimuru, Valentine's Liza. But Valentine's Liza you might have to be careful with because I think her True Art has a cleanse on it. I can't remember for sure, but you don't want to cleanse the burn. Chloe is going to work really well. Anybody who just has really good heals, make sure you have a good healer. And then I'm actually going to do the boss fight real quick. I'm going to do EX4 just because EX5 is really hard. I don't want to do that again. I just did it for the first time. So we're just going to get right into it. So at the start of the fight, just do nothing. Just wait. You're going to want to make sure that all of your units get burned. So he's going to do a little yell, he's going to fly around for a little bit, and then he's going to like flap his wings and burn. If he doesn't burn everybody on your team, just reset. You need all of them to get burned or they're not going to get arts. Alright, all my units got burned, so now I'm going to pop off with my heals, and then I'm going to pop off with my shield, and now I'm going to keep stacking my fire res down and my physical res down. And then immediately with Shiro, I'm going to use my physical res down. Shuna is really good for this because she has a 50% heal on her art. And if you get her true equip and put some crest on her, it's even higher. Use your shield right there. Make sure you're healing. Just watch your DPS. They're going to take the most of the damage. And now do not go in here because they have this evasion up. You're not really going to be able to hit them that much. But you can still stack your debuffs. And then I'm going to use UBW right here while I keep stacking. Alright, and then make sure you keep healing. And then immediately with Shiro, we're going to use a shield. And now we're going to try and kill. This should definitely just kill. Yep. And now, hopefully Shiro can come back up. Watch your DPS's shield. Pop it. That was really close. The dive attack does so much damage. And now when he comes back down, pop off with the super art. Then we're going to pop off with super art. And this should take us straight to the... Yep. And now use that. And watch your DPS. She died, but, you know, whatever. Everybody else survived. Still beat him. Just make sure nobody dies. I'm not going to do anything. Yeah, Delta hitting for 1 billion. Kind of crazy. But, yeah, that's it for the EX bosses. Let me know if you have any video ideas, anything you want me to do. I'm thinking about doing a Gamagori showcase, and then maybe a Veldora showcase. It's up to you guys though, so leave it in the comments. And yeah, that's it. See ya!